going to be explaining to you how you can add new pages to your assignment template. So in this example, I'm going to be working through the Customer Relationship Manager assignment topic. So we're going to start off by building a form in this particular video, which allows us to add new contacts to the database. So the first step we need to do is to create a new page template. To start off with a very simple template that we can add to a route, and then we can add more details to it. So I'll create a template called Add Customer, and with a handlebars extension. So here we have a very simple basic page template. So it's going to display a header, add new customer, and the logout button. And it's basically taken from one of the existing templates. So it's got a link to the style sheet, everything else, and I've changed the content and I've changed the title. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to create a route which allows us to access this particular page. So I'm going to have it in my secure.js. Here we have a nice simple route. So what it does is it's basically copied from the one above. It checks to make sure the person's authorized, and obviously the referrer in this case is secure add if you watched the last video, and then it renders the add customer.handlebars template with the data. So if we restart the server now, we should be able to see this page. So we log in, and then I should be able to go to the URL and put in secure/add, and here's the basic template page. The next stage is we need to put a link to this from our secure page. So we'll have another link here, and we'll link to the /secure, the one URL we just put in, /add, and this is add a new customer. And that takes us to add new customer page, and we'll have a button to take us back to the previous page. So we go into the add customer. In fact, to speed things up, I'll just take that link and add that to the page. And that's going to take us back to secure. So now we should be able to go back to home, add new customer. So that's the first bit done. And the next thing to do, we need to create an HTML page, an HTML form. So that's going to have to go in here, a simple form in, and you can see this one, let's have a look at it on the page, has a space for the customer name, customer email address, and the customer phone number. And you can see each of the form elements has a label, the correct type, placeholder, and values. So that is all ready to go to the next stage. So as you can see from this one, the action of the form is /secure/add method post. So now we need to add a new route to our secure page to process this form data. Here's a very simple form, and what this is going to do, it's going to make sure the person's authorized, grab the form data, print it to the screen, and then redirect us back to the secure page with a message. And of course we need to insert co-body at the top. And then we click on the add customer. And there we are, it bounces back to the secure page. But if we look at the console, you can see I'm posting secure add. I've got an object which has a name property, an email property, and a phone property. And what that does, that matches the names of the fields. So I've got name equals email, name equals phone. So now what we need to do, we need to process this data and add it to the database. And to do this, we need to create a new module. So in my modules folder, I've currently got a user, a module. I'm now going to create a new one called customer. And I'm going to paste in that line of code there. And what this does, it imports the customer module and stores it in a variable called customer. At the same time, I'm also going to specify the name of the database, and you'll see why that's important later. So the first thing we need to do is have a constructor, and this constructor is going to create the database table for storing the customer details. So every time we create a new instance of this customer class, it's going to ensure that the database schema is correct. And you can see that we also need to import the SQLite library so we can use the database. So now we have a constructor, and this constructor will, when it creates a new customer object, it will use the correct database name, open the database and create the database table. And the database will stay open while the object is still in use. Now what we can do is we can use this module to create a new customer object to make sure it creates it properly. Here I think is a good place to put it. So we're going to create a new customer object. We're not going to use it yet, but we're going to create the customer object. So this is a good point to test to make sure everything is working properly. So we load the server again. We go back into the page, add new customer, and everything's working. We've got the module set up, we've got the form set up. The form is now posting the data to the module, and to prove it's working, we're going to create a function which allows us to insert the new record. Here we have a function called add, and what it does, you pass it the customer object, it prints it to the console, creates a SQL statement which inserts it into the correct table, prints the SQL statement, runs the SQL, and then the returns. So to get this to work, we need to run this. So we need to call the add function. So here I've called the add function inside my new customer object, and this should add the item to the database. We'll add a new customer and add customer. There we are. In the customers table, we now have a record index 1, john@gmail.com 12345. Hope this has shown you how you can use a form to upload information and then store it in the database.